A childhood forged in exile, the early years of Ismail Haniyeh. Ismail Haniyeh's story begins in 1962 in the heart of the Al-Shati refugee camp. Located in the Gaza Strip, the camp symbolized the Palestinian exodus post-1948 Arab-Israeli war. Haniyeh's family, like many others, was displaced from their ancestral home. Life in Al-Shati was harsh, marked by poverty and limited opportunities.
I remember the crowded alleys, the struggle for basic needs, but also the unyielding spirit of our community.
Education became Haniyeh's escape and weapon. He excelled in his studies, finding solace in UN-run schools. His academic prowess earned him a place at the Islamic University of Gaza, where he pursued Arabic literature. University life proved transformative, deepening his commitment to the Palestinian cause and introducing him to Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, the spiritual leader of Hamas. Finding a voice in faith, Haniyeh's introduction to Hamas. The founding of Hamas in 1987 marked a turning point in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Born out of the First Intifada, Hamas offered an alternative to the perceived failures of the Palestinian Liberation Organization.
As a young graduate, I was drawn to Hamas's message of resistance.
Haniyeh's charisma and oratory skills, honed during his university days, did not go unnoticed. He quickly rose through the ranks of Hamas, becoming a close confidant of Sheikh Yassin. Haniyeh played a pivotal role in establishing Hamas's social service network, a lifeline for impoverished Palestinians in Gaza. This network, providing everything from food aid to healthcare, cemented Hamas's support base among the most vulnerable. As Hamas escalated its campaign against Israel, Haniyeh found himself thrust into the heart of the conflict. His ability to bridge the gap between Hamas's military and political wings made him an invaluable asset to the organization. From the streets to the helm, Haniyeh's rise through Hamas. The 1990s proved to be a period of consolidation and expansion for Hamas. Haniyeh became a key figure in Hamas's political bureau, responsible for shaping the organization's strategy and outreach.
We had to be pragmatic to build bridges even with those we disagreed with.
Haniyeh's understanding of the delicate balance of power within the Palestinian political scene proved invaluable. He advocated for a strategy of engagement with other factions, including the PLO. The Oslo Accords, signed in 1993, presented both a challenge and an opportunity for Hamas. Haniyeh saw the potential for exploiting the power vacuum created by the Palestinian Authority's establishment. He recognized the limitations of the Oslo Accords, viewing them as a flawed attempt at resolving the conflict. Haniyeh argued that true liberation could only be achieved through resistance, a message that resonated with many Palestinians. A nation divided, Haniyeh's tenure as Prime Minister. The year 2006 marked a watershed moment in Palestinian politics. The unexpected victory of Hamas in the Palestinian legislative elections thrust Haniyeh into the international spotlight.
It was a challenging time. We faced immense pressure from both within and outside.
Haniyeh's tenure as Prime Minister was marked by a series of crises. The international community imposed crippling sanctions on the Palestinian Authority, demanding that Hamas renounce violence and recognize Israel. The situation culminated in Hamas's takeover of Gaza in 2007. Deepening the divide between the West Bank and Gaza. Despite facing international isolation and internal strife, Haniyeh remained steadfast in his commitment to the Palestinian cause. He refused to bow to external pressure to disarm Hamas or recognize Israel. Haniyeh argued that Hamas's electoral victory represented the will of the Palestinian people and that armed resistance remained a legitimate tool against Israeli occupation. A leader without a country, Haniyeh's international diplomacy. The aftermath of the 2007 Gaza takeover saw Haniyeh transformed into a figure of international diplomacy.
With Gaza under a crippling Israeli blockade, I embarked on a series of diplomatic tours, seeking support from regional allies.
Haniyeh's diplomatic efforts, though often dismissed by the West, were crucial in keeping the Palestinian issue alive in the international arena. He used every platform to highlight the plight of the Palestinian people, denouncing Israeli policies and calling for an end to the occupation. His efforts played a vital role in providing humanitarian relief and a sense of hope to the people of Gaza. Living under the shadow of violence, Israel's pursuit of Haniyeh. Throughout his political career, Ismail Haniyeh occupied a precarious position, a target of both political adversaries and targeted violence.
My life, particularly after assuming a prominent role in Hamas, became a relentless cycle of threats and near misses.
His home in Gaza, a symbol of defiance against Israeli might, was repeatedly bombed. Haniyeh's defiance in the face of Israeli aggression solidified his image as a symbol of resistance among his supporters.
Each attempt on my life, each narrow escape, served to bolster my image as a leader willing to put my life on the line for the Palestinian cause.
However, the constant threat of violence took a heavy toll on Haniyeh and his family. The assassination of colleagues and the ever-present fear for the safety of loved ones became an inescapable reality. A life cut short. The assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. On October 18, 2023, the world watched in disbelief as news broke of Ismail Haniyeh's assassination.
The Hamas leader, a figure who had defied death countless times, was killed in an airstrike while attending a political gathering in Tehran. The attack, which also claimed the lives of several other high-ranking Hamas officials, sent shockwaves across the region.
It marked a dramatic escalation in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, threatening to unravel the fragile peace that had held for years. Hamas, accusing Israel of carrying out a cowardly act of state-sponsored terrorism, vowed swift and decisive retaliation. Israel, while not officially claiming responsibility for the attack, stopped short of denying its involvement. The assassination pushed the region to the brink of war, with both sides bracing for a new wave of violence. Shock and outrage, the world reacts to Haniyeh's assassination. The assassination of Ismail Haniyeh reverberated across the globe, eliciting condemnation from world leaders and international organizations.
The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting, calling for restraint and a de-escalation of tensions. The Arab League condemned the assassination as a dangerous escalation and called for an independent investigation. Turkey accused Israel of state terrorism and vowed to stand by the Palestinian people. The international community scrambled to contain the fallout, fearing that Haniyeh's death could ignite a regional conflagration.
A legacy etched in conflict, interpreting Haniyeh's impact. Ismail Haniyeh's assassination left behind a complex and contested legacy.
For his supporters, he was a martyr, a symbol of Palestinian resistance against Israeli occupation. Haniyeh's legacy, they believed, would inspire future generations of Palestinians to continue the struggle for liberation.
Haniyeh's critics, however, viewed him as a hardliner whose policies brought more suffering to the Palestinian people.
His death, they argued, offered an opportunity for new leadership to emerge, willing to engage in meaningful dialogue with Israel.
The truth lay somewhere in between these polarized views. Haniyeh's life and death reflected the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a conflict that defied easy answers and simple solutions. The unanswered questions, Haniyeh's assassination, and the future. In the aftermath of Ismail Haniyeh's assassination, questions lingered like smoke from a dying fire. Who ordered the attack and why? Was it a calculated act of aggression aimed at decapitating Hamas's leadership? Or was it a reckless act of violence? The answers to these questions would have profound implications for the future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Haniyeh's assassination underscored the deep-seated mistrust and animosity between Israel and Hamas. The assassination highlighted the volatile geopolitical landscape of the Middle East, where regional powers often used proxy conflicts to further their own agendas. The future remained uncertain, with the potential for either a new wave of violence or a wake-up call for peace. Only time would tell which path the region would take.